In yet another edition of Donald Trump's chopper talk, he has essentially, very publicly, told foreign leaders to dig up dirt on his political opponent. This time he's decided to involve China. Now, this is an answer that he gave to a reporter who asked him what exactly he hoped Zelensky would do about the Bidens after their phone call on July 25th. This is what sparked this impeachment investigation. And here's how he answered that question.
Well, I would think that if they were honest about it, they'd start a major investigation into the Bidens. It's a very simple answer. They should investigate the Bidens, because how does a company that's newly formed, and all these companies, if you look at, and by the way, likewise, China should start an investigation into the Bidens, because what happened in China is just about as bad as what happened with Ukraine. So I would say that President Zelensky, if it were me, I would recommend that they start an investigation into the Bidens.
So now Trump is urging China to launch an investigation into his political opponent. And this is relevant because the US is in the midst of a tense trade war with China, as we all know. The president discussing progress on negotiations with Beijing on a possible trade agreement just moments prior to his remarks about the Bidens told reporters, if they don't do what we want, we have tremendous power.
If they don't do what we want, we have tremendous power. The next thing he says is, I want him to investigate Biden. Now, he's gonna say, and his supporters are gonna say, no. When he did the earlier sentence, he was talking about trade. The second sentence was in response to the question and was about Biden. Are these lines blurred enough yet? Okay, anyway, let's talk about crystal clear lines. You cannot solicit any kind of favor or donation from a foreign country for your political campaign or against your political opponents. It is illegal. It does not need quid pro quo. He doesn't have to say, hey, China or else. He doesn't have to say Ukraine will withhold aid. China, I have a lot of power I could use against you. Just the very act of asking a foreign country to help you against a political opponent is illegal. It's not a little illegal, it's completely illegal. And that Judge Napolitano explains that on Fox News over and over again. That's why the Fox News audience is losing their mind. They're like, get that legal analyst off the air. We just want people saying crazy stuff. Why did you allow a sane person on air? And Shep Smith comes back, he's like, we just admitted it, I don't get it, okay? And so for those of you trying to decipher, okay, so what's the strategy here? Because people on TV are still playing the game. Like, you admitted crime on national TV because you wanted to normalize it. Like, oh yeah, it's shooting people on Fifth Avenue is totally normal, right? And so me violating a law is normal. That's what there's no strategy. No matter how many times people have told him, Mr. President, you cannot say that. You can't say it on a call to Ukraine. That's why we hid the call in the secret server. You can't say it on TV. When Stephanopoulos was in his office and said, would you accept aid from a foreign country in your campaign? He said, well, I'd have to look at it, right? And he's like, if Stephanopoulos was like, wouldn't you turn it over to the FBI? He's like, I guess, but I mean, I'd look at it first, I'd do both. And people are like, Mr. President, you cannot do that, that is illegal. The answer is very simple. The skull is too thick.
Yes.
And there's too few brain cells. So the fact that to get through the skull and somehow find the two brain cells inside that skull of his. And they just can't find it. So it doesn't get through to him. He's like, no, I'm right. I'm right. Everybody else is wrong. The law is wrong. I could just go to a foreign country and go, hey, Iran, why don't you go ahead and hurt my political opponent?
Yeah.
Hey, North Korea, why don't you put him in a camp or something? It's okay, I know, the law is wrong, I'm right. And every sycophant in the White House is like, oh, and they're all cowering because they're all losers. Like he bullies them, he yells at them weird things like, what do you think, I'm an idiot? Or no, you guys are making me look like an idiot.
Right.
No, there's one person. There's one person making you look like an idiot. His name is Trump. Anyway.
But I have to say, there's one thing I agree with this Cenk Uygur on. I do have a thick skull. It's a very strong skull, okay?
It's a beautiful orange skull. Anyway, his aides can't have stopped telling him that he's breaking the law because they're afraid he's going to fire them for saying things that are true. That's why, surrounded by yes men, impervious to facts and intelligence, he goes on national TV. He's like, oh, maybe China should investigate my political. Maybe a communist dictatorship should investigate my political opponent in America. Great idea.
So now that we've adjudicated what should be obvious to everyone at this point, I do really want to talk about why he wants China to investigate Biden, or at least what his crazy conspiratorial accusation is against Biden in this regard. Now, I'm gonna give you the details and the origins of this conspiracy theory, but before I do so, I wanna preface it by reminding you that Donald Trump's own daughter, Ivanka Trump, but shortly after he was elected into office and after his inauguration, Ivanka Trump got a bunch of trademarks approved in China, right? So why? What happened there, right? So if he's gonna point fingers and accuse others of corruption, he needs to take a good hard look at his own house. And I wanna know, why did China approve all of those trademarks all of a sudden?
But right after they approved the trademarks, Trump lifted sanctions from one of the biggest Chinese companies, ZTE.
Exactly.
And remember what Trump said about Hunter Biden? He said, oh, come on, the idea that you wouldn't talk to your kids about their businesses is absurd. So, I mean, he's just not bright enough, man. He admits these crimes. I mean, who wouldn't talk to their kid about their business dealings in China and then act based on that? Because you did that. You literally did that. Then he turns around and accuses Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden, look, I got issues with Hunter Biden, but you keep going.
Yeah, so let's talk about why he wants China to investigate the Bidens. Trump, seeking to expand his corruption accusations against the Bidens beyond Ukraine, has in recent days repeatedly accused Hunter Biden of using a 2013 trip on Air Force 2 with his father to procure $1.5 billion from China for a private equity fund he had started. The Washington Post had found his claims false while tracing the origins of the $1.5 billion figure to a 2018 book published by a conservative author, some guy named Peter Schweizer. Now, Hunter Biden actually wasn't even initially the owner of this company and has never gotten paid for serving on the board. In fact, Hunter Biden didn't even acquire an equity interest in the fund until 2017, after Biden was obviously well out of office. Yeah. So like, if the accusation here is that Biden used his powerful position to garner favors for his son Hunter, well, that doesn't make any sense because Hunter Biden wasn't really able to profit or get anything beneficial from this until well after Biden was in office.
Right, I mean, look, so I'm more skeptical here. So the Democrats are more sophisticated at corruption. So Hunter Biden goes on Air Force 2 with his dad. He did talk to Chinese business officials. The $1.5 billion number is made up, as usual, from conservatives. When I first saw that, I was like, man, that is a lot of money. I think they could have bought the Bidens for less than that. And so, the Bidens are sophisticated and smart enough, I would imagine, and there's no evidence that they did talk about it, that they don't talk about it. They're just like, oh, here's my son. Oh, you guys are doing business with him. Well, that's good for you guys. I have nothing to do with that. That just happens to be my son. No, Hunter Biden's going around the world cashing in on his last name. I don't think there's any question about that.
So first of all, that makes all of us sick, obviously, right? But how is this different from every other person in a position of power? I mean, Meghan McCain gets paid how much to do a subpar job on The View and throw temper tantrums on a regular basis? She got that job because of her last name. We see this all the time. And yes, it's frustrating, but let's keep it real. We live in America. It's not about how hard you work. It's not about how good a person you are or how smart you are. It's about the connections. It's about whether or not your family has any power. That's how you make it in America.
Yeah, and it's completely bipartisan. Unfortunately, it's legal. Senator Orrin Hatch's son was a lobbyist, and his dad would say, oh, I never met with my son. I just happened to vote for everything that his lobbying company wanted, and they happened to pay him a ton of money. But golly gee, that was just a total coincidence. Senator Norm Coleman's wife, you worked at a company that she didn't work at and had no expertise in. They're both Republicans. So that stuff is unfortunately legal, but that's a way of bribing family members of Democrats and Republicans. in Trump's case, he's not sophisticated, he's an idiot. So he just breaks the law without any sophistication and doesn't know how to cover it up. So he'll go on national TV and go, why doesn't China do it? Why didn't China break the law with me? Well, you numbskull, that's illegal and you can't do that, and you just admitted it. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.